be that quick.
I missed it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Committee on Finance, Tuesday the 13th of July, 2021. Councilmember Wyatt.
Here.
Councilmember Bowman.
Present.
Councilmember Nowakowski.
Present.
Councilmember Rivera.
Present.
Councilmember Wingo.
Present.
Council President Pridgen.
Here.
Quorum is present.
All right, from the top.
Item number 1, Annual Audit Plan Fiscal Year 2022.
Items open.
This item is open, and I believe we have the Deputy Controller here to speak on it.
Good morning, Your Honorable Body. Yes, we did file the annual audit plan. Per the city charter, the controller is required to submit an annual audit plan. And an annual audit plan, it will discuss the audits that we plan to do in fiscal year 2021, 2022, and also give an overview of the audits that were performed during fiscal year 2020, 2021. For the most part, we did detail out the completed audits that we did in fiscal year 2020, 2021, which was, we did a review of the utilization of fishnet cell phone and wireless devices that were being used. We also had a peer-to-peer audit by Allied CPAs, which they looked at our internal audit plan, and they did deem that as a good plan to give us a good result on that. And we also had, we performed some follow-up audits during fiscal year 2021, which was eligibility of health insurance benefits to city employees. Also did an audit on procurement of a record storage facility at Rural. And then the audits that are currently in progress is the National Grid streetlight billing, which has been going on for a period of time. We're looking to have some closure to that audit, hopefully sometime during fiscal year 2021, 2022. We also are in the process of doing an audit on overtime for city employees to see where can we cut costs at. And then last but not least is an audit on our other carriers for Verizon, AT&T cell phone usage. So if you have any questions for anyone in regards to the audits that we've completed, the audits in progress, or the audits that we're currently working on, I can answer questions. We also had the city auditor, Kevin Kaufman, on the line.
Any questions, colleagues? Okay,
Yep.
Councilmember Bowman.
Thank you. Controller, with the audit in progress with regard to National Grid, getting any additional savings above and beyond that 1 million? I know you said that it may be closed this year, but are we still finding more savings, or do you have any
Well, we're still
detail on that?
We're still negotiating with National Grid in regards to the billing. We really don't want to put out there as far as what we think is going to happen. We just rather wait and finish negotiations. And then once we do have negotiations final, the controller will present and submit it to this group and to the public.
Okay.
Majority Leader.
Thank you. With regards to the audit on overtime, is this something new? I mean, have we done this in the past?
Kevin, you can answer that. But first, I know this is something, like we said, in progress. So we've seen a spike in overtime across the board. And I know this is something that the controller was interested in. And Kevin, if you want to add anything else to the overtime audit.
Sure. Kevin Kaufman, City Auditor. We have done audits on overtime in the past. We've looked at fire and police. This one is going to be citywide, and we're going to compare several years, so we can see the variance from year to year and give everyone an idea of where the overtime is going. After we get the initial one done, we're planning on doing it by department for the big departments to see where their individual overtime has gone the last several years also.
You finished, Majority Leader?
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's my computer is a little bit unstable, so you're breaking up. It's probably my Wi-Fi. But I'm interested in knowing what was done previously. I mean, we've had problems with regards to overtime, an increase, especially in the fire department. Were there any last audit? I imagine determinations were made, and did they follow any of the recommendations? I'm just trying to remember what the recommendations were with regards to overtime to mitigate.
The last one I think was 3 or 4 years ago, and I can send you a copy of both the audit and what they did.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
That's good to know what the follow-up was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, when did we start this process, or have we started it as of yet regarding the overtime?
So we've been planning it for a little bit, and we started at the end of the fiscal year once the last pay period was done, so we could look at the entire fiscal year and compare it to prior fiscal years.
Okay.
So we're gathering the data right now.
And would you be able to forward that report to the council so that we can have it on the record?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Deputy Controller.
After every audit we do file with the council as far as the results. And like Kevin said, we got a full year's worth of overtime data once we end the fiscal year 2020-2021. So we'll look at previous years and get full year's worth of data to be able to see where the overtime is occurring, and then by department, and then do we see an increase or decrease? And probably we might do maybe 3 to 4 years worth of actual overtime, and then make a determination. And then what Kevin and his team do is they gather the data, they submit it to the department heads, and then at times they follow what we suggest, and at times they can't. But that's a document that is filed with the council once we complete each internal audit.
Yeah, I'm not disputing if it were, I don't recall it being filed, and I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying I don't recall, but I'm just asking if the last time you did it, that report be filed with the council. That's all.
Yeah, no problem. And Kevin will provide that data.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, colleagues? Okay, motion to table.
Motion to table.
Seconded by Councilmember Bowman.
Item number 2, letter to council president regarding American Rescue Plan.
Items open.
This item is open, and I know I've had a number of conversations with my colleagues on the dollars for the American Rescue Plan and how they're being spent. And I know some of the dollars have already been spoke for, but not approved by the council. But this was a letter asking the council president to schedule a meeting to hear from the public. We were told, I believe, during one of our meetings that there were like 150 comments, but then in the newspaper today, it said it was just 50 on the website. So I don't know how we reconcile that, but the bottom line is this coming Thursday, individuals who would like to speak and have ideas on how this money can be spent will have an opportunity to speak at 5:30. Mr. Chief of Staff, can you just announce to folks how they can register and how they can send all of their written comments as well?
People can send written comments if they like prior to the meeting to council staff at buffalony.gov. They can also email the same address if they'd like to register to speak during the meeting, and they'll get a Zoom invite response to that. And if they'd like, they could also call in. The office number is 716-851-5105.
Thank you. Any comments, colleagues?
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Estridge.
I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Estridge, and then I'll come to you, Majority Leader.
I just wanted to talk about the difference in number. The number in the paper was as of June.
Okay.
And then the 150 is July, because we've opened it through the end of July,
Thank you.
the online.
Okay, and we have constituents that would like to speak on this. Okay. You can just say your name for the record, address. Andrea.
Hi, council member. This is Andrea O'Sullivan with Partnership for the Public Good, and grateful to you all for having us on this morning. I want to thank this committee and Common Council overall for scheduling the special session you've just mentioned. We're grateful for the opportunity for the public and many of our partners who are planning to join on Thursday to share priorities for stimulus fund spending. This morning, I wanted to talk very briefly about water affordability in Buffalo. That is one announcement that was made earlier this month, that the city and Buffalo Water announced $13 million of American Rescue Plan dollars allocated toward water debt relief. We saw during the pandemic, and this is an issue that Partnership for the Public Good and the Western New York Law Center have been researching for several years, that thousands of Buffalo residents were in water debt. And at the time when the quarantine period, the stay-at-home started, we saw that there were hundreds of families at home without water. That really highlighted, I think, even more so than we already knew. It's not easy to live without water, right? And as we look to recovery, we want students to succeed in school. We want residents to upskill. We want job training programs to succeed and small business owners to succeed. And if any of us try to not turn on our water at home for even a day, 3 days, we see how difficult that is. We heard from residents during the pandemic who for months had been going out, purchasing gallons of water, lugging those home. And these are folks that in many cases are working jobs. And I can tell a quick story about that. But I wanted to share research that we're going to be publishing this week, and we'll send it to council members directly as well. That we did a very large Freedom of Information request and received water shutoff data from Buffalo Water. And that showed us that from 2015 through the start of 2019, water was shut off in over 17,000 instances. In 2019 alone, across that year, there were 8,500 attempted water shutoffs. And a majority of these, over 62%, were at occupied properties. So again, we see many hundreds of our neighbors and residents living without water. We received from Buffalo Water the worksheets that they use when they mark down what address is being shut off, and some researchers for us mapped those. So we'll be sending that to you directly, but we were able to see really where in the city were shutoffs happening before the pandemic. And so I wanted to share that the highest number of shutoffs were happening in 14215. There were 530 occupied households shut off in 2019. The highest rate of shutoffs was in 14208. There were 185 shutoffs in that smaller zip code. We saw also high shutoffs in 14208, 14211, also even on the west side as well. So we really see big impacts, I would say, in University, Maston, Lovejoy, Broadway, Fillmore, as well as North District and Niagara. So we'll send you those numbers directly. But it's interesting to look at the income data that we have as well. So overall in the city, there's a certain rate of shutoffs. And just for example, in 14208, there are 44.3 shutoffs per 1,000 households. That's a rate nearly 2.5 times the median shutoff rate across the city. So of these really high districts with shutoffs, we saw that 6 of those zip codes are east of Main Street. And as I said, the other 2 are on the west side. I see the council president raising a hand here on Zoom, so I definitely want to stop. But we really wanted to just share that ourselves and many partners are supportive of using some of these funds for water debt forgiveness. There are not many people, I would say, making an affirmative choice of, it's okay, my water might get shut off. I can live without water, right? We know how difficult that is. And one individual who might join you all to share his story directly on Thursday is actually a former school bus driver for the public school buses in Buffalo. He had a stroke in 2017. He's a veteran, and that left him unable to still be a school bus driver. He actually continues to work as an aide, but that pay is not enough to keep all his utilities on. So he's shared his story and said, I really had to choose between gas, water, or electricity. And I decided I can't live without the heat. I can't live without the light. I could try to live without water. He lived without water for 16 months and described very graphically for us what that was like. He collected rainwater from under his leaky roof in buckets and would use that to flush the toilet. As I said, he would walk home with gallons of water each day and use that for cooking and bathing on the stove. It's really unbelievable to think this is how some of our neighbors are getting by day to day. And for us, certainly a big lesson of the pandemic has been, without meeting these very basic needs, as I said, we can't expect that neighbors are going to become self-sufficient, get into innovative jobs, take advantage of all the wonderful programs that I know council members and government are building with COVID recovery. So I'll leave it there, but we'll be sending you that data directly, and just wanted to get in early and add support for addressing water affordability with some of these federal funds.
Thank you so much for that information, Andrea. I would like to come back to you and ask more detailed questions as far as your research. The information that you have as far as people who had water turned off prior to the pandemic, was that water, as you are aware, turned back on during the pandemic?
It was, absolutely. Following advocacy, the Buffalo Water did quickly commit to turning water back on. And there has also been then a federal moratorium on shutoffs and a statewide moratorium on utility shutoffs. So this really became a national issue during the pandemic. Customers could call in and get their water turned on, and no shutoffs have resumed. But of course, the state of emergencies are lifting, and folks at this point, their water might be back on, but we don't want them now, as the pandemic is hopefully coming to an end, right, to be hit with $1,000, $2,000 water bills that accrued over this whole time with interest as well.
Thank you so much. Council President, then I'll go to Commissioner Estridge. Council President Pridgen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Andrea, and my hand wasn't up to stop you. It was only up to ask a question. The research that you all did, does it show homeowners who are not occupying and didn't pay but have renters?
Yeah, of occupied properties, it was actually right around 50-50, that 50 were owner occupied, 50%, and 50% had tenants in there. So that's a big concern as well, because of course there'd be a whole range of arrangements with whether the tenant is supposed to be paying that bill or the landlord. And we did hear through the Western New York Law Center clients contacting them who are renting, the bill is not in their name, the landlord is supposed to be paying that bill, and then they end up having the water shut off. So yeah, there's a whole range of issues going on, but it is about 50% owner occupied who end up with shutoffs.
And I think my concern is, those who lost their jobs, those who cannot pay, those who are struggling, I'm fine with. I don't think I'm fine with paying the water bill of a landlord who was getting rent and didn't pay his water bill or her water bill. And we have a lot of out-of-town landlords who I think will take advantage of a full amnesty program when they were getting rent and they were not paying their bills. And I, for one, I'm going to, once the administration, and I know the commissioner is on now, presents to the Common Council their proposal, I know we've made an announcement, but I, for one, am not for paying the bills of people who are receiving rent every month and just didn't pay their water bill. To me, they should not be rewarded. They should have to pay their bills like everybody else. And so I'm just speaking this in advance. I don't know if Commissioner Estridge has that answer. We haven't been presented with the council in anything formally, but I would definitely vote against paying everybody's water bill, and people who had the means. People who are laid off, fine. People who went through loss of job, fine. People who had extra bills because their children were home, fine. But landlords who got rent money from people and didn't pay their water bill, they should have to pay their water bill. That's my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Commissioner Estridge.
I just wanted to kind of follow up on the comments that the mayor did discontinue any shutoffs in March of 2020 and then made the commitment not to do any further shutoffs for people. I think the water department and probably, I'm not sure of all the details yet on the amnesty program, but I'm sure each one is going to be looked at individually.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Council President. We really have to look at this and do it the right way, make sure we're thorough in how we present and allow those to benefit from these dollars? Because I totally 150% agree. If you were getting rent money from your tenants and you didn't pay, there's no way on God's green earth that we should be paying their bill. I know
Yeah,
that
it'll be an income-based
okay.
amnesty program.
Okay. One question, Andrea, when we talk about the water being, the individuals whose water was turned off, were these individuals in a payment plan, or was it just simply these are individuals that didn't pay and they turned it off?
It's a whole range, actually. Buffalo Water had developed various payment plans. The reality is a lot of residents who end up with a water shutoff are not residents who are coming into the Western New York Law Center, coming into legal aid and seeking services. They're very removed from support and services. So many residents didn't know that those payment plans were available. We do have data, I'm just trying to find it here, on how many customers who are in debt had enrolled in a plan, and it was a very small percentage of the overall. Like, say there were 18,000 customers in debt, only 1,000 were in those plans, but I need to find those exact numbers and I can send that over to you. Yeah, again, I think a lot of folks, one interesting thing we found as well was that even when folks had made a payment, in some cases, they were then shut off. So say folks had back pay owed or back bills owed, they negotiated a plan, they made a payment that they could, and in some cases, shutoffs were still happening. But I do think, yeah, that the income-based approach will hopefully take care of some of the concerns that you've shared. We also, I know you share this goal across healthy housing work that's been happening, want to make sure that renters don't suffer in this way because we do have landlords who need more accountability. So I think that's a tricky one to balance. We don't want kids going to school without water at home. So we'll continue to work to see what's a good solution. And in the research we'll send, we're also sharing with you all what other cities, Baltimore, Philadelphia, other places have done to address this as well.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, any comments or questions? Councilmember Nowakowski, I know we were thinking about someone from Congressman Higgins' office. Did we get that information as of yet?
Not yet.
And I know that we did get a letter or summary from his office as well. Can we take that information and provide that on the website, Mr. Chief of Staff?
I need to get the information first, but we could take a look at that, sir.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other questions, motion to table.
Motion to table.
And I believe that's it. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Councilmember Nowakowski.